All right, so we're gonna start the video.
Nationalize the voting. Well, Van Jones and Gretchen Carlson are here. So, Van, let's just start with Tulsi Gabbard here first. She's on site, and she's supposed to be dealing with international security threats, right? So her presence there is already.
Okay, I'm sorry to say. Now, see, they frame it as she got no business um worrying about national security inside the United States. She's outside the United
Hmm.
States. That's the frame of the question of the statement.
The lady is outside the U.S. Is that what you're saying?
No, no. The announcer says, "This is." Can you see my cursor?
Yeah.
That's
Uh-huh.
that's Tracy Gilbert. All right, she's the
All right.
national security advisor.
All right.
National. This announcer
Mhm.
says her job is not to deal with internal security.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? That's how she's
Yeah.
already framing the
Yeah.
situation. All right.
Right.
And the event itself, in an already many times investigated election in which there was no fraud in Georgia, is inexplicable. And
Now she's saying this has already been investigated many times. So why are you going back here? Truth be told,
Hmm.
it was never fully investigated because the perpetrators were in charge. So
Right.
you needed Trump and his administration to get into power to investigate it,
Hmm.
but they don't want that.
Hmm.
This is CNN.
now we know
Hmm.
Trump spoke to the agents on speakerphone who are doing the search. What's going on?
Nothing good. Nothing good. Look, we have
Van
to believe
Jones.
that
Hmm.
terrorist enemies of the United States are not watching the news and don't realize that the head of our security is fooling around in shoeboxes full of old, outdated ballots as opposed to making sure that we're safe. If there is a major terrorist incident in the United States, there's going to be hell to pay. What are they doing? What does that have to do with the security of the United States?
National elections is not
Hmm.
important to Vance Jones. Stolen election is not. That's what he's saying. You know, they over here doing a investigation into 2020. They should be focusing on things that you know don't affect the Democrats.
Well, the thing
Basically,
is, let me say this here. I
yeah.
mean, if you, that's one of the ways the enemy can take over
Yes,
through the election. I mean, how can you
yes,
miss that? You know what I'm
because
saying?
it's going to make the Democrats look bad. Look, they
Mm.
will burn down the House to keep Trump
Hmm.
out of power. Shot
Right.
him. Um, um, what it was, 5 criminal charges and civil charges. Um,
Hmm.
three attempted assassination. But yet they will burn down the
Yeah.
house to save their hide.
Wouldn't that be considered like subversion? You know what I'm saying? If
Yes,
they steal election, you know what I'm saying? I'm like,
yes,
oh, we need to be looking for gun toters, not
yes.
not these kind of mugs.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay.
Election
Mhm.
stuff. And the president of the United States should be doing other things besides cheering on the FBI agents who are being distracted with this nonsense.
Right, and calling action that would he said those comments, Gretchen, to Dan Bongino, who had just left, right, the FBI, and is now back in his job as a host. So, but it was to him that he said Republicans should take over the voting in at least 15 places. What does that even? What does that mean?
And where are the Republicans standing up today saying absolutely that should never happen? Because when it turns around and Democrats are in power, how would we feel?
I will agree with her on that as a conservative. I do not want the federal government controlling the elections due to that. Um, and when I deal with, my doctor is from India and different ones, they don't understand the
Mhm.
separation of power that we have in the United States. The sheriff in your county is elected by the people. To the police department,
Right.
you have to elect the mayor, who then has a police chief. So you have separation of power right there. So if the police chief is doing bad, I can go to the sheriff. If the sheriff is doing bad,
Hmm.
I can go to the police chief. It's not that
Hmm.
interconnected family, type of thing generally. So I understand what Trump says, but I might not agree with his policy. I disagree if he
Right.
said or believed that nationalizing elections is going to do it. What I want is oversight. What I
Mm-hmm.
want in like not like this, investigations follow because whoever get into power, if they federalize elections, that's just another layer that you can't get through as a citizen.
Let's define federalized an election before you begin.
Okay,
What
so
does that mean?
all right, in 50 states, you have 50 different election boards. The states
Mm-hmm.
run elections.
Mm-hmm.
Federalizing it'd be Washington D.C.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Washington D.C. will be controlling the elections in 50 states,
Yes,
overseeing.
yes. Right now they oversee it through different laws and through different mechanism, but all the
Mm-hmm.
ballots and everything else is set up by the state. Remember go back
Mm-hmm.
to 2003, 2004. Well, no, it'll be
Mm-hmm.
what is it, the 2000 when um Bush and Gore had the election and
Yeah,
it went haywire down here in Florida because they had to punch ballots and they couldn't tell who voted and all that kind of stuff. So
right.
Florida tried to re-up it. It went bad again in 2004, but not as bad. It wasn't but the
But
but the, go ahead.
I was going to say, would this be federalizing it if they say, okay, this is the standard for elections everywhere, meaning like, um, like you said, each state have different rules. Just
Yeah.
make one rule for everybody. Would that, do you see that as bad?
I don't see that as
Or,
well, there are guidelines.
Mhm.
Just like okay, the highways are interstate. So
Mhm.
um the department, the federal department, the Department of Transportation, DOT,
Mhm.
nationalized, but every
Mhm.
state have their own DOT. But the way the the federal government regulates them is to travel interstate, you have to follow certain guidelines for licensing. You see what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So
Mhm.
the federal government is not out there for the most part enforcing speed limits. You got me.
Mhm.
But what they do
Right.
is they say, okay, if you don't go by this regulation or this pattern, then we're
Mhm.
going to cut your funding. States say, wait, hold up, we need that money. So
Mhm.
if you're saying that, that is different.
So basically, they're saying the international or
Interstate,
interstate
yeah,
um, speed is 70 miles an hour.
right,
So that's everywhere. Long as you're not in the city limits, there's other uh, situations that cause you to drive slower, then you can't be giving somebody a ticket for 60 miles an hour.
right.
You know what I'm
What
saying?
what they do is they set the guidelines, but
Mm-hmm.
if you go out to Arizona, it's 100
Mm-hmm.
miles an hour on certain roads, or it's no speeding limit, but they will give you a ticket for driving erratically. You see what I'm saying? You go out to those states with no limit on it, they still get
Mm-hmm.
you if you drive like a maniac. You zooming through
Right.
traffic, um, but, but the top speed is not there. Go ahead.
Okay. So, yeah, I know not to get too deep in the weeds with the traffic law, but is that a federal law that if Arizona you can drive 100 miles an hour? Is that what law governs
No, no,
that?
no. That's for to get the grants and different things. You can set. They give you um what do you call it? They give you guidelines, and then they
Okay.
Arizona and them they're within the guidelines. They just don't set an
Hmm.
upper limit. But most
Okay.
states, just like 55 was set,
Hmm.
for across state, interstate.
Hmm.
I had to look into it, but yeah, that's federal. And then the
Okay.
states they vote on it, and then you know, the
Hmm.
county set
Okay.
theirs through the state and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's how it works. So what I'm saying is, if um the elections, parts of the election, and we would have to get into the weeds of it, have to look up the law and that sort of
Right.
it is oversight by the federal government. But like I said, another way in, all right, back when Clinton was in power and Obama, the big push was to nationalize the ID card. It took a Republican to do that. It's the ID thing after 9/11. So what it is, and when we can get into some conspiracy theories one day, but it's like this. All right, I create a problem for you and I give you the only way out. So I got you. So what I'm saying is with 9/11, I want everyone to have a uniform ID card, not 50. So I say, and it's happening through Trump also, I say, if you're going to travel, if you're going to fly, because remember now that's federal, because you flying interstate and international, that's federal. So to get on this plane, you got to have a form of ID that is recognized nationally. Because what the states has done, whether it, conspiracy mind, whether it was intentional or not, they are giving, what do you call them, illegal immigrants ID cards and driver's license without them speaking English or anything like that. So Trump is saying, if you're going to fly a plane, I'm going to get you on this. He says, I'm going to make it where you have to follow. It's called I think it's called a new ID or whatever. It's a national ID thing. Everybody got it. You know what I'm saying?
They raise it to $45. If you don't have one, you
yes,
got to pay a $45 fee.
right.
Or
So,
fine or something like that.
Right. But even worse, if you're on a plane and you're flying international, it goes up to the hundreds. Especially you're a couple. All right. Now you can bring your passport or something that's that is federal. But if you don't bring one of these ID cards from these states that they don't use the the new ID, that goes into what us conservatives were fighting against. But they got us after 9/11. You see what I'm saying? They got the conservatives because they was gun ho. Let's go fight the Taliban. Let's go fight Iraq. They gave them red meat, and they turned right around. They did it through a Republican who was supposed to be conservative in that. Now they got a Republican in there, and now if they can get to nationalize the elections, that is the opposite of conservatives.
Right.
But I tell
Why
people,
would Trump? Why do you think Trump want that?
he's not as conservative. Trump's not a conservative.
Okay.
All right. So he's a populist. All right. One thing, the reason he wanted is because the reason Tulsi Gabbard is in Atlanta, Georgia, Fulton County, is because he believed they stole the election. So apparently he said for the 15 Republican states, they should take over the elections, the federal government. Now, if it's a red state, they already have the elections. But what he's saying is even more so. There are, I think it's 20 states in the United States, I had to look it up, that do not require any ID for voting. Think about that.
Now, I kind of agree with having a standard,
I agree having a standard.
Yeah, but not, I mean, a universal standard.
I have no problem.
Yeah. So what?
But what the problem is, not just the standard, but the enforcement. When all 50 states are run by the federal government, I'm a Democrat. Remember now, I'm in power. What could have gone on for the 2020 election is like this. I don't know if you remember, especially in Fulton County, they was going late. It was like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. They said we're shutting down. We're not counting anymore. We're telling you, and they put up those cardboard paper or whatever, so the reporters couldn't see.
Right.
But then at 3 o'clock in the morning, they did a data dump, and
Mm-hmm.
Biden won. But it was counting going on after that. You could see them counting, but they held it
Mm-hmm.
up so you couldn't see it. And they say,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, don't worry about that. Nothing to see here." So I don't have a problem with a standard. I have a problem with one person or the administration having so much influence over the elections.
Mm-hmm.
It's it gives me the power if I'm the president to cheat. That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
And how you investigate me now? Because I, I took away your power. Say you a governor of a state. Federal government, like he's doing now, can come in and get you because it's a separate power investigating another power. But when I
Mm-hmm.
investigate myself, I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
miss some things. You know what I'm saying? I'm deliberately. But go
Okay,
ahead.
sure. Yeah, okay. All right. But yeah, I seem like everybody should be able to get on the same page with
It's yeah, yeah,
the requirements for voting, you know?
right. Well, again, yeah, and you do that through the carrot and the stick with a standard. Like
Mhm.
again, you like I said, generally most states, except for like pretty sure it's Arizona, got that unlimited highway. It's not in every highway in Arizona, but
Right.
it's
Right.
certain. It's middle of
Right.
nowhere,
Right.
But it's carrot and stick. I will give you funding for this, that, and other if you abide by these standards. And I have no
Mhm.
problem with that. Just like it's real ID. That's what it's called, real ID, where
Mhm.
all states should follow these guidelines. In other words,
Mhm.
3 forms of ID. Okay, it got to be a
Mhm.
bill. It got to be a letter addressed to you at this house. They want to know, and the state runs that, but it's in compliance with the
Mhm.
federal guidelines.
Yeah, it kind of go. All right, if you let's just say, what if you don't have a house? What if you live on a bridge? You know what I'm saying? How does that work?
Okay, so um,
But I want to vote.
well, you
Yeah.
got to you got to have identifications to buy alcohol. You got to
Yeah.
have you got
I
to
mean, the ID part is good, but if you put on there the bills or whatever, I mean, you might was just being, just throwing some stuff
no
out
no
there.
that's actually you got to have, in other words, 3 forms of identification to get the real ID. I need to
Right.
know what they're doing is if you can bring a bill, that's an easy thing for someone to do. Okay,
Okay, that's just one of that's
that's just
not
one.
one. Okay, I got
Yeah,
you. There could be anything that can prove that
yeah.
you're you.
They got to be able
Uh,
to, go back to that location and find you.
mhm.
Believe it or not, when I was out there on the street, living under the bridge, there's certain things um, for food stamps and different things like that. You can get an identification, um,
Mhm.
but generally they're not flying. They're not, saying they're not, you know, they only do getting for services. But like I said, to vote, I have to look it up, but we can do that. I can do that while we still look at
Yeah,
this video.
yeah. Okay, that's why.
All
Yeah,
right.
I'm unfortunately we probably got about 30 minutes, but
Yeah.
but yeah, let's go ahead and dissect this video right here. That'll be
All right.
good.
if they do that, but we're hearing nothing about that. Look, my whole point about this is what
You can hear this, right?
Yeah, can you turn it
evidence
up a little
for
bit?
it to go back
That's it.
to all of these ballots from 2020. Like, what was there new? They've been over this many, many times. So that's my first question. Then you come to the next question.
Can you hear now?
I can, but she now she's just lip syncing. I was hearing it, but she's gone. No,
Official
still
last
can't
week
hear.
said if you
There
just
she's back.
hand over your voter
Okay.
records to me, maybe ICE will go
Right.
away.
Right.
Okay, those are huge red flags to me.
Yep.
That there's going to be something going on with the midterm elections.
Yep. And by the way, that letter came out on Saturday, right? Saturday on the day Alex Preddy was shot. It came out right away. I remember Senator Chris Murphy came on with a letter. It was, it was hours after that. It was an immediate reaction. Then you also have Marjorie Taylor Greene coming out. Okay, now you enter in this, and I guess this like lays in with the Georgia situation, but calling the entire MAGA movement a big lie, which is pretty stunning when she was, one of the standard bearers for MAGA. Let me play it in full. I think people are realizing it was all a lie. It was a big lie for the people. What MAGA is really certain.
I'm just saying she's a big lie. That's what the problem is. She was a phony in the MAGA movement.
In this administration, who they're serving is their big donors. Those are the people that get the special favors, they get the government contracts, they get the pardons, or somebody they love, or one of their friends gets a pardon.
Yeah, well, surprise, surprise. But I think a lot of people, when they hear that, they're going to think, it's good she's saying it now. But honestly, maybe she was trying to be one of those people.
She was.
Got those special favors.
She
got
was.
those special opportunities. And then she got her hand smacked. And suddenly now she's kind of turned around. If she had been treated the way she wanted to be treated by Trump.
Exactly.
She's this stuff now. Don't forget, you're talking about somebody who was doing everything she could to get close to Trump and was spurned.
Yeah, but it was the Epstein files and her decision to support the survivors that had Trump turn against her. But I still believe that she is doing this. She went on an apology tour for being very, politically motivated with hate. And that she not be that way in the future. I think that she's going to run for governor in Georgia as more of a moderate. And I think some of this is political genius on her part. I also think that what she's talking about, it's not just big donors why MAGA should not be happy with Trump right now. He's getting us involved in overseas wars. They didn't want that. He's weaponizing his enemies. I'm not sure they voted for that. The economy is not doing well. I'm not sure they voted for that. There are a lot of other reasons why MAGA would be fractured right now.
But it's interesting, Van, people that want to see things a certain way will connect Marjorie Taylor Greene to Taylor Remick, who just won in Texas, to the races in New Jersey and Virginia and all those races. And they will say, well, there's something going on here. And this is all a big shift. In fact, SNL, which would be a place where you.
That was it.
Okay.
All right. So what you got?
No, I was just the big thing was the nationalizing the election, just trying to get a better understanding of what that was.
Right.
And I can see pros and cons, like I think we pretty much said that,
Yeah.
if it's done right, it could be a good thing, and make sure you got qualified voters out there, but if it's done wrong and the state, you don't want one political party having an advantage over another one.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? We can avoid that. That would be good. Yeah. So everybody got these different rules and all that. They could come up with something that's fair and equitable for everybody. I don't see no problem with it. But like you say, oversight. You gotta have the right.
You got to. And
you gotta have the right oversight.
Like I said, last year, Gavin Newsom and his California, and this, what you got to understand, being fractured as a nation is a strength. All right. In other words, New York is New York, California is California. And that's why we have the Electoral College. California and New York cannot run the 50 states. Little Iowa, little South Dakota, Kansas get their say. They get 2 senators and however many representatives. They're not big as California in the House, but they get their say in the Senate to stop with the House, who is the bigger the state, the more representatives you can send. So with that, what I'm saying is, even though in California, with their law stating you cannot, as a poll worker, ask for an ID, it is illegal. So
that's insane to me.
It's very insane. So what would be the underlying reason for that?
Cheating.
Cheating.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
because I could just turn right around and vote somewhere else.
go down the street to the next precinct.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and vote.
yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
With the mail-in ballots, they Trump said it. I've been saying it. 2020. If it wasn't stolen, it was definitely cheated on. They found people that had hundreds of ballots signed with the same handwriting. Strange, strange. Could you? They do ballot dumps. All right. So at the ballot, it's like it's a mailbox. At the ballot dump, you have a camera up there. People were upset, filed lawsuits for having the camera there because people got caught.
Hmm.
You come in with 300 ballots from where? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, this thing in Fulton, Georgia, they are really upset about because it could have uncovered some really good stuff with the 2020 election. The ballots,
Hmm.
it seemed like some of the ballots was printed
Hmm.
too cleverly, or wasn't there was like no creases, it was just perfect, you know what I'm saying? Like nobody
Hmm.
handled them, you know, printed right
Yeah.
off, threw right in there. Then they got
Let me
so
ask you
bad.
this, Chuck.
Go ahead.
Let me ask you this here. Do you? I mean, we got so much technology, right?
Yes.
Could we today just scan a mug, scan his face, and
But
then okay,
that goes against conservatives because then
huh?
you got to do his, that's called biometrics.
Right.
Not everybody want to be in the system, because then as I'm right walking down the road, you can once you scan me for my vote, you can scan me for anything and say I went to a meeting with someone that is against the government, not committed a crime, but I don't want you to know that I'm investigating, the police department. I don't want you to know what I'm doing. So that's the problem. It's going to be abused.
Anything you got.
Anything you got, yeah. So again, conservative, um, you got to get. I always try to tell them you got to get past doing nothing because they want to go back to the 1800s, but you can't.
Hmm.
You can't. We are in the 20th century. I do biometrics all the time, scanners at work and different things like that. But what
Hmm.
they don't want it, and it's I don't know if you know, it's like when you let your information go out on Facebook, whatever, different ones. Uh, um, Guess how they catch criminals? Okay, you go on 23andMe or one of these other DNA websites. Guess what? Your profile is for sale.
Yeah.
All right. The cops
Yeah.
come and they buy that profile because your cousin, they get Ernest Shaw profile, come to find out you're kin to someone who did something and they track him down because of what you did. Now, he
Hmm.
never spit in the bottle or he never gave his DNA. So that's what
Hmm.
conservatives are afraid of. The government would
Hmm.
get too much power.
Gotcha. Yeah, but they don't feel there's too much power with a national ID
Yes, they do.
or real ID.
Yeah, they don't like that. They didn't like it in 2000. But remember, and this is conspiracy theory part. For me to get to conservatives to do something, I need a Republican in office to tell them why they need to do it. Whether that
Hmm.
president really realized what he's doing or not. You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
George Bush was pretty much controlled by Dick Cheney.
Hmm.
And Dick Cheney ran a lot of different ops. Ronald Reagan, a lot of his programs were run by George Bush Sr.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But
Hmm.
prior to CIA, he knew how to hide his fingerprints. Oh, I don't recall being in that meeting. Or I'm sorry, maybe I was out of town that day. I don't recall. So what I'm saying is conservatives like limited power. But what I'm saying is they got us because they let in 10 to 20 million illegals. So we got to go to real ID. You see what I'm saying? You're darned if you do, if you're darned if you don't. Because if you don't get real ID going, you got these individuals around here up to 10 to 20 million that could be foreign agents, military, age men,
Yeah.
all that.
Real ID though ain't gonna work if you got states out there that don't require anything
Exactly.
from you.
Right. So how you do it, again, you set a standard and you punish them for not doing it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we have no choice.
Yeah.
We been funneled by the
Yes.
foolishness.
Yes. But I
You
said
know what I'm saying?
it could be foolishness or it could be planned.
Hmm.
Because the push, going back to Clinton, remember during Clinton, you heard of the North American agreement where
Nasty.
Canada,
Mhm.
United States, and Mexico. Well, what was
Right.
Trump doing? Trump saying we're gonna make Canada the 51st nation. People like,
Hmm.
what? He's
Yeah.
going, whether he knows it or not, whether someone gave him that idea or is his plan, he's doing what Clinton could not do.
Hmm.
So that's why we have to be careful
Now
with it.
I don't know where I'm at, but back in the day, in my youth, I had the same thoughts. Why don't we just? I know it's much easier said than done. You can't just wave a magic wand, but just think about the resources that'll be available to everybody. You know, the untapped resources in South America and Canada, if they was a part of us.
Okay, just look at it this way though. Remember, you
Hmm.
had West Germany and East Germany.
Right? I remember that.
When
Hmm.
you take over a section of a country, you
Oh yeah,
inherit
I
not
get.
only their resources,
Hmm.
but their
They had
problems.
populace.
Their
Yeah. Hmm.
problems. All right,
Hmm.
Mexico is a third world country, a third world country.
Hmm.
Now, the border regions and the tourist areas where we go in and we give them our millions of dollars, it is pristine. Drive off the road a little bit. Go into those neighborhoods. Who's running it? The cartels.
Hmm.
So, how, like I said, um, we got regional agreements. We had NAFTA. Trump shut that down pretty good, and I appreciate that because a Mexican driver with that ID card doesn't get
Hmm.
stopped at the border. You realize
Hmm.
that, right?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Hmm. And
What
ain't
does
no
he?
telling what's on that truck.
What? Same thing
Ain't
in
no
Canada.
telling what's on the truck.
Canada, United States agreement. They keep going. Boom. It's like going from South Carolina to Georgia. You know, you
Yeah.
just cross the border. But so that's what the problem is. So for
Hmm.
us to inherit, say, Canada, it's a first world country,
Hmm.
but it's going third world because of
Yeah.
the immigrants. And it's going third world because Canada and California, large part of it, think alike.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
The
Hmm.
government of Canada, the government of the UK and California, New York, they think alike. They're very, very liberal.
Hmm.
So if we inherited Canada or took over Canada, we would have to break it up into two states because it's like the slavery. You don't want to
Hmm.
inherit a fully the 51st state being um, Alberta. You got to go to Ottawa. You know what I'm saying? You got to split them up
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
one side is very conservative, very rural.
Let
They
me ask this:
control
can Puerto Rico can they vote?
in federal elections, I think, not in I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's I don't know if they I think you can vote in the federal elections.
Okay,
It's a
I don't know.
territory. It's a
It
territory.
is it
Yeah.
is a territory, but I don't know. I don't know if they can vote.
We can find
Uh,
out.
yeah.
Let's see. Cause I looked up the real ID stuff in the internet too.
Hmm.
Can Puerto Ricans vote in the US elections? The miracle of technology.
Yeah.
But you always got to check it though.
Mm-hmm.
It's looking. It's looking.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe Puerto Rico.
What's that?
I was just saying maybe we should have said Puerto Rico.
Oh, it's looking.
Okay.
It'll look up. All right. This thing. If you tell me which situation, a U.S. citizen living in Puerto Rico, a U.S. citizen in Puerto Rico heritage living in U.S. military overseas voting, U.S. Is Puerto Rico a part of the United States? Can they vote in federal elections? Sometimes this thing don't make all the sense.
Let's see here. Voting rights of United States citizens who live in U.S. territory. Uh, Puerto Rico, like voting rights of residents of other territories, different from those of the United States citizens in each of the 50 states in the District of Columbia. Residents of Puerto Rico and other U.S. territories do not have voting representation in the United States Congress and are not entitled to electoral votes for president. The United States Constitution grants congressional voting representation to U.S. states, which Puerto Rico and other U.S. territories are not. Specify the members of Congress shall be elected by direct popular vote, and that the president and vice president should be elected by electors chosen by the states. So it sounds like no. Puerto Rico territory under the sovereignty of the federal government, but is not part of any state, nor is it a state itself. It has been organized, given a measure of self-rule by
Yes.
the Congress,
Yes.
subject to congressional plenary powers under the Territory Clause, blah, blah, blah. Puerto Rico is entitled to a resident commissioner, blah, 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 who is not allowed to vote on the floor of the House, but can vote on procedural matters in the House committees. In most other U.S. overseas territories, as well as District of Columbia, a similar representative position is style delegate. So basically, they can't vote. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
Unless
Yeah.
they become a citizen. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Yeah.
All right. So it
Mhm.
says, and I'm about to tell this thing off. It says on the voting part, I can't tell you who can vote in the U.S. federal. I didn't ask you that. It says
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
born in Puerto Rico are U.S. citizens at birth under federal law. It
Mhm.
says federal voting assistance program, Puerto Rico guide. All right, what is it? So they don't, I know they don't have a senator and they don't have representatives. They
Mhm.
have, like I said, it's a territory that is, governed by the United States. So they don't have that representation, like Washington, D.C. You know what I'm saying? Washington, D.C., those are U.S. citizens, but they don't have a senator. They're not a state. And that's another thing the Democrats are trying to push for, to make them a state because they're Democratic. That would give the
Mhm.
Democrats more power.
Where they vote go though? I mean, they can vote, but where does it? How did what does it go to Virginia? I mean, who the people that live in DC? I mean, we ain't got to dig into that, but that's interesting.
Yeah.
Uh, Now for Puerto Rico, a person from Puerto Rico, I guess if he resides in one of the states, of course, he can vote, he or she can vote.
Right.
But if he resides in Puerto Rico, I don't think he can.
He can't vote for a senator because they have no
Right,
senator, no house, yeah. They
right,
have a
right.
governor. They can vote to become a state. It's all up to them, and then we can ratify, the Senate, the
Mm-hmm,
state. But
mm-hmm,
too many of them want their independence, but they want us to treat them like a sugar daddy. You know what I'm saying?
hmm.
That's how
Yeah.
it's been, you know what I'm saying? Well, we don't want to totally be a part of y'all, but we don't want to totally be free either. Because they can vote to remove themselves from us.
Hmm.
But
Hmm. Yeah, we ain't gonna let him do that. It's still gonna be out there. I'm thinking anyway. But yeah,
It's
okay.
all depends on the politics, what's going on at the time.
Hmm. Well, DM, I appreciate the opportunity to get on here with you, man,
No
and
problem.
everything. And we'll have to reconvene again, maybe later on in the week, maybe Friday, whatever, over the weekend if you're free. You know what
Okay.
I'm saying? Get a
Yeah,
chance
yeah,
to get on here,
yeah.
get on those other two topics we talked about. But this was good. It was insightful to me. I learned some stuff, you
Sounds
know.
good.
Yes, sir. All right, brother. God bless you, and we'll talk to you later.
All right. God bless.